Delta Labs Research Facility, Sector 2 South, contains the Matter Transfer Division focusing on human experimentation and other biological testing. The prototype transfer platform is contained in the upper research hall. Teleporter distance is limited, serving only to test biological effects of matter transference. Alright, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dude 3 walkthrough with commentary, and we have arrived at the second floor of the Delta Labs. Exciting new biological research being conducted in this area. Innovating elevator technology! Featuring empty shafts with absolutely nothing but death in them. Also, fits of laughter from the villain in this game. However, we could just assume that that death was non-canon, and in the main universe, the main continuity, our Marine lived to see another day once more, so we'll just let this shaft open once again, and carefully observe what's down there, because that should trigger this enemy spawn. You may have heard him spawning behind me, or my alternate self rather, before he decided to jump into the pit like the completely smart individual that he was. However, I didn't feel like dealing with him at the time. Instead, I kind of felt like, you know, just showing off what was down there. And it just seemed to be filled with a bunch of happy laughter from Betruger. So, always good to listen to some of that once again. Let's pick up this health kit and head straight into this room where we could find a rather cheesy and lame horror effect, which I'm sure may have been impressive back in the days of 2004. But really, it's not that effective anymore in my opinion, so I'm just kind of like, whatevs. It's there if you want to look at it and admire the developers for trying to show off the capabilities of Doom 3 engine, which includes allowing the player to get stuck, being forced to watch a cutscene which you can't skip effectively. However, we also have a restroom over here, and, you know, heading into the first two restrooms was always a brilliant idea, and such is still the case in here, because this room actually contains adequate light sources, so that way we could see the permanent scowl etched on my face, and also observe in better detail what our weapon view models look like. My Marine is incredibly hunched over while carrying this chain gun, but it's kinda nice, because you get to see most of the weapons available in the game and what it looks like when you hold them. And you can also observe reloading animations if you want to as well, and they, of course, hardly match up with what they look like in the first-person view model. But that's just what they use whenever you're playing in multiplayer. By the way, you may have noticed that there are some breathy sounds emitting from this area, and I hate to break it to you, but it's not this guy who was doing his business. He did leave us a shotgun, but I guess he didn't want us to touch it. So, I just murdered another innocent civilian, guys. However, if you peek over into this empty bathroom stall, that actually spawns enemies! 4 enemies to be precise. There's just 2 over here, and once you head out to reception, you find these 2 guys. Otherwise, they're completely skippable. And, I mean, I would have liked it if there was something inside that empty stall personally, but I don't know, perhaps we are not meant to understand as humans what could have possibly been back there. Maybe it was a ghost trying to do its business. By the way, press that button to open the security hatch, and, well, it's a security hatch. It's got grenades, it's got a shotgun, it's got armor. In the event where you miss the first couple of armor shields, or armor shards back here as well, then you can certainly pick that up. But that's pretty much all that needs to be done in this area, so we're gonna head straight up to the archives, cross the balcony where that tentacle commando dropped off of earlier, and I can't exactly remember who's going to spawn here. Maybe it's an imp. No, it's just that guy. Well, I guess he's sort of like an imp. I remember that there's an imp behind this closet once you move forward a bit, whose hand sort of clips through the wall because he's triggered to run forward before the wall actually opens up first. That's just the way they decided to go with it, guys. Move on through this hallway, and we enter the offices, and this area is actually kind of innocent at first. It's a little dimly lit, but for the most part you're just going to be combating shotguns. Yes, the shotguns are running towards us with their arms flailing. Zombies, they do not have shotguns, but we have a shotgun. Don't worry guys, I can still English sometimes. Part of the problem is just moving forward because that's going to spawn 2 enemies. First there's that commando out there, and if you run in this specific corridor, Betruger has a giggle at your expense, and he spawns this guy behind you. And unfortunately, because you have to actually train your crosshair on enemies when you're going to use the chainsaw, I'd failed to kill that guy before he slapped me silly. So, let's try to prevent that from happening again. Instead, let's just ignore that zombie over there, make sure he doesn't slap us silly, because we want to collect all of these items. And you know what, I'm just gonna use my plasma gun. I have full ammunition for this. Take that box, just push that box around. You show that box who's boss. I want to see what happens if this guy runs into this box. Oh, he walks around it. You can see, the enemies are adaptive. They have some vague form of intelligence that allows them to navigate around boxes instead of just shoving them aside. So hey, good to see that that's an option. Storage cabinet 112. There are actually a lot of storage cabinets in this level. There's 4 of them to be precise. And this one, the PDA for it is actually fairly nearby. It's not the one that we collected right here in the office. It's a little further up ahead, but we'll get to it when we get to it. For now...
Making progress, Marine? Your journey is futile. You will die, and your soul
and your soul will be mine. I never get tired of listening to that. You're going to be encountering 2 commandos in this area, but if you aim for headshots with the rocket launcher, then they're practically not a threat whatsoever. Also be mindful of the scary skeleton that pops in out of nowhere, because he was probably inside you the entire time, but then he decided to teleport out to spook you even further with his rocket launchers on his shoulders. And I can't seem to, for the life of me, to get through this little crawl space over here. Observation room! Great, let's go there! Ah, butts. Instead, let's head to... what's the other place? Test chamber number 1! That sounds far more exciting. And there is actually a gentleman working in there. An NPC! We haven't encountered one of those in quite a long time, but there's one. In flesh and blood. Let's go talk to him.
There. Oh, thank God. You're not one of them. I thought everyone else was gone. I was part of this. I helped them. The madness of opening to another dimension. Look, we don't have much time. We let it through. The evil, the protective stabilizer on the portal just failed after Betruger took the device. It was an artifact we had found in the ruins. He took it into the portal, and hell followed him out. You have to help me first. I'm going to try to get the teleporter systems running again. The areas are destroyed around us, so it's the only way through this part of the complex. You need to find me a working plasma inducer. It's all I need to get the teleporter working. You can look for it in operations. I have a security clearance. I'll unlock some doors for you. There. We don't have a lot of time. Please hurry.
Right, so our new objective is to explore the level a little bit further to locate one of these things. I actually ignored this giant piece of machinery that subsequently powers the teleporter technology that he's speaking of, but that is a plasma inducer right over there. That's what you have to look for. It actually glows, the one in particular that we need to locate, so just bear that in mind, and of course you will get a fine opportunity to see what it looks like when it is glowing, because it is very pretty. Also, we can download a report on this artifact. Looks very nice. Very cubicle. Let's move on now. Head back the way we came, and encounter probably some of the worst enemy spawns in the whole level. Actually, just, I would say, the worst enemy spawn right over here. Because there's gonna be Commando right around that corner as soon as you walk forward just a little bit. And then he just kinda gets bored if you decide to stand back here because he doesn't know how to climb machinery. Hate that enemy spawn because just running forward here is not really a viable option, and because he's one of those bastards that sort of likes to peek around corridors sometimes, it becomes a bit of a mess. You can see, this is why I don't like fighting commandos, is that I'm very scared to get hit by them a lot of the time. It definitely shows, just the way I play. Oh, you're still living. That's a minor problem, but don't worry, I rectified the error with my rocket launcher. So, we have 2 different areas we can head towards. We can either go to operations, or not do another 90-degree turn. Security, biolabs. I think I want to go to operations first, so let's head this way. Watch out for the scary imp behind the door, who's just having a little old snack, and run into another imp who actually missed me. The sad thing is, I keep forgetting that some of these crouching imps exist. It's been like a couple of days since I did a test playthrough. I just haven't found the opportunity to play during those allotted amounts of time, either because I just didn't really have any energy, or I just really didn't feel like recording at all, but I do feel like recording now, so it is good that I'm continuing the progress on this walkthrough. Running over here, there's actually not much progress we can make at this location. The elevator itself is actually not functioning at the moment. However, there's a great enemy spawn involving, believe it or not, the fluorescent lights in this place. And what do I mean by this? Well, if you want to just go ahead and, like, damage some of these lights for a minute, like so, that spawns this imp. That's definitely one of the stranger enemy triggers I've ever encountered in this game. I can't exactly remember how I first discovered that one, but it's certainly an interesting one. And it leads me to question it if destroying more fluorescent lights in the future will cause a similar effect, but that's just a theory. We can head down this corridor and observe some interesting things, however. All the offices are unfortunately locked, such as Steve Resco. We won't be able to visit him for a while, but I have observed some of the residents in this place, and they do have some interesting histories to them, I've noticed, such as Matt Cooper. Now, Matt, he's kind of having a bit of a dietary problem. Some people were thinking about calling a professional medical examiner in, but we accidentally got the wrong guy in, and it turned out to be some sort of hyper-vegan, and Hooper didn't exactly like meeting up with him because he was just kind of being patronized on his tendencies to eat meat most of the time, and, well, let's just say they're not working things out very well. Blackwell! Mal unfortunately escaped not too long ago, but he did leave behind the PDA of a USC security team soldier. Going to assume that there was probably some issue with restraining him, but we'll get to that in more detail some other day. Christian, I heard some interesting stories from the medical lab about this guy. They said he had a broken jaw. It's looking a little worse than what the medical reports described. I think that's all that needs to be said about him. And finally, we have Jerry. And Jerry has been suffering from migraines for the past couple of weeks. We still haven't figured out what the medical cause behind this one is. But that's pretty much all I can show you in this place for the time being. Operations is locked. We cannot get to the archives. So instead, let's just relieve our pain and suffering by finding a secret pack of plasma cells down here. And there's also an imp that's just sort of wandering around. And since he can't locate us, he's just going to walk back to his original destined location where he spawned, and just kind of stand there for a minute. Until we show up again, that is. Well, I'm still hearing another one? Oh, hello. Where were you this whole time? I don't know. But that is certainly an interesting one. I'm fairly certain the last time I ever did a playthrough of this area, I only encountered, like, maybe 2 imps. But a third one, that's different. Maybe that guy spawns for unknown reasons. I couldn't tell you why. Because at this point, just going after all kills in this game could just be somewhat impossible because I'm recording, and recording just causes strange things to happen that you've never encountered before. Head towards the biolabs, and I'm so sorry, I'm gonna turn around right here because there are strobe lights in that area, so once again, avert your eyes if you really cannot stand the adverse effects of rapidly blinking lights. Shoot the zombie behind the desk, and that will cause 2 imps to spawn. There's one to the left and one that appear behind you. And I think you can afford to look back on your screens now because we are going to duck underneath this little staircase and find a secret shield. With that out of the way, I can hopefully ascend over this handlebar. Be careful when you open this door because a guy swings a wrench at you, which is rather rude. He's just having a bad day. And run around this corridor where we can find another medical lab, and it's got some sort of audio log playing in the background regarding some guy who's suffering from an extreme case of dementia. It's not really a pleasant report to listen to, so I'm just gonna ramble over this guy. You can look at some of these reports if you want to, just to let you know that you can interact with some of these computer screens, and that is actually a key element to bear in mind when opening one particular storage cabinet later on. Hit this button to open the security hatch, and that actually opens up 2 hatches. There's one with cells back here, so that's always pretty nice. And with that, we head around this corridor, get startled by this guy, or not. Depending on whether or not you choose to get startled by him is not up to me, but it's up to you. Also be careful of the imp that spawns behind you. But thankfully we have grenades to get rid of these problems for us. Now, here is a little storage bay, which actually has some interesting things going on in it. In a moment, there we go, that should spawn a couple of books behind this door, 2 imps, and more briefly afterwards, after you get rid of those zombies, then that will cause 2 more imps to come in and finish the job. However, I'm quite fond of this chain gun. I'm also quite fond of picking up that little pack of rockets back there. And I'm also fond of doors that do not open, because it means we have to take alternate routes to reach that path. So, there are probably... I'd say that there's only really one possible path you could take to actually reach that ledge. You want to load, like, the bin up there. I think it's bin number 3 you want to press on. because that crane is going to rotate in a certain direction, which will allow you to get up onto that little ledge and crawl through that ventilation shaft. It takes a little bit of time for it to lower that little storage bin over there. Just give it a bit of time. I think that it's possible for you to get crushed by the crane if you stand on a specific part of this little platform, so try to stand on top of the box directly and just let the crane grab the device and just carry yourself over really casually. There we are. Grab this backpack, it's got a whole bunch of cool stuff in it, and enter the ventilation shaft, where our lights go out briefly. I mean, the basis lights go out, but our flashlight has infinite battery, so don't worry about it, I was just joking. Okay, let's drop down. Hello, friends! How are you? Would you like some grenades? Because I feel as though I haven't been meeting my grenade quota in the past couple of videos. It's nice to lob a couple of nades now and then. So here's an office door of Security Chief M. Abrams. If you recall, way back in Sector 4 of the Alpha Labs, we collected a PDA belonging to a Mr. Abrams, and in order to unlock this particular office door, it's kind of a two-step process. You have to listen to his audio log first, and he's basically talking about a bunch of interesting things, such as how he has, I don't know, the most powerful gun in the game, locked away in his office, and possibly a few other details here and there, but the most important thing is that he has a BFG 9000, and we want that BFG 9000. So he assigns the door code to be locked and set at 901. However, there are no zeros on this keypad because it's only a 1 to 9 digit combination code thingy. So IT security changes the 0 to a 3. The code is 931, and that opens the door. Hit this button to open the chamber, and we collect the BFG 9000. The BFG 9000 is the best gun in the game. We're not going to use it right now anyway, because it's simply too powerful to use it against any enemy in this particular level. I haven't found any willing test subjects, to say the least. And immediately afterwards we come across another storage cabinet, 116, and the code for this one does not exist on any personal data assistant. Instead, a point I was alluding to earlier inside the little medical practitioner station is that you can interact with some computer screens like this, and lo and behold, the code for this is 972, as stated in the little journal entry. 972, and that allows you access to a BFG cell. This is what the cells look like, so be sure to collect as many of those as possible. You cannot carry a crazy amount of BFG 9000 ammo like you can with a lot of other guns in this game, but still, it's kind of justified because it is just simply super powerful. Try to collect as much as possible. So, deactivate the Halon systems, run over here, unlock the offices, and that causes two enemies to go rawr. And the first enemy is really nothing too special, it's just an imp over there, so I'm just gonna take out my shooty booty. Get rid of him real quick. And the Revenant that you may have heard just beyond this door is only going to attack you once you actually open the door. So ready your plasma rifle if you just want to be safe, and sorry about the situation. Sorry, Mr. Revenant. I'm sorry I had to inflict you with so much pain. Now we can head to operations because all of the doors are unlocked, and that only means that there is going to be some very therapeutic chainsawing that needs to be done. First of all, pick up this PDA over here, and let's just get a move on. Destroy and cut apart anything that stands in your path. I could enter some of these little offices, but there's really nothing of actual excitement or value inside them to begin with, so that's why I'm just ignoring them for the most part. So now that we have access to this place, we're gonna run over here, open this closet, and then saw this guy in half. And this is just kind of an area where I just want to use the chainsaw only, because really, it's filled with chainsaw bait. What else do I need to say in this situation? Super efficient to work against any of the undead, and that should be the last guy right there. That guy is actually an indication that this is the room you have to head towards, because it has that working plasma inducer we were referring to earlier. And immediately we come across another storage cabinet, and the storage cabinet for this one, 114, is written on the sticky note, and it is 715. And I'm being quite literal about this. It says 715 on the sticky note up there. It's good if you pay attention to these sorts of things, otherwise you may miss out on an ammo backpack that has an ammo belt on it. This one's already open, it's got health kits and shotgun shells if you need them. I think we're good. I think we're pretty good. Hello. Now let's just grab them granadas, open this door, and we should come across just 2 more zombies at this point onwards. And this is what's obstructing the elevator in the bottom floor. It's just, yeah, that's kind of a problem. However, I am not going to be a conformist. I am instead just going to jump down like this. I took a little bit of damage, but I personally can't gripe too much about that one. Once you reopen this door, I think there's going to be a bunch of flashing lights actually, so this may hurt your eyes if you're going to stare at this. But it only gets better from here, because once you actually run straight through the door, that's going to cause 2 commandos to spawn. And they appear from the hallway of which we originally passed through, and we're going to backtrack in that location, not for spotting any extra enemies, but for opening storage cabinet 112. And the code for this one you can find on Frank Cinder's email, which we located in one of those offices back there earlier on. And it regards his lunch in our particular email, and the code for this one is 538. Nice attention to detail, Frank's lunch is actually sitting right there. Thanks, id Software. And I do believe that's pretty much everything in this area. We've pretty much finished up with the level, so let's go deliver that special baby, the plasma inducer, to Sir Ian McCormick, and that will be that.
Excellent. That will get the teleporter working again. Now, you don't have much time. You're going to need to teleport across the containment chamber. It's the only way through this part of the complex. Head into the chamber and initiate the sequence on the machine. I'll take care of the rest. I'm not going with you. Good luck. But before you go, I want you to take something. It's a journal I made about the experiments. Those things. It's all there. It'll explain everything. Get it to someone so this never happens again.
Sure thing, pal. I'll definitely survive this trip through the teleporter. But first I have to survive the deadly decontamination chamber, which lasts about a good 5 seconds before the door opens again.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, you too. Over here is just going to be a little bit of a storage supply. You can actually enter this teleporter area before you collect the plasma inducer, but the most you're doing is just running in and out of the decontaminator, and it's about as exciting as it sounds. And this is the end of the level, but you can see that there's a guy over there. I want you to bear that guy in mind for the next level. He's actually a fairly important detail. Instead, let's activate the teleporter and end this particular sequence.
Systems activated. Teleportation will commence in T-minus 3, 2, 1.